So I want to take a look at this whole idea of evolution and where it came from. Of course, we have Darwinism, but there were people before Darwin who were perpetrating this idea. But mainly, what was evolution's appeal? It was to white slave owners, white plantation owners. Why? Because they needed a reason to treat the slaves like they were beneath them. This was the white man's sin, if you will, evolution. Okay, this is what it was. I know that everybody wants to push it, but politically, the reason why Darwin was so espoused is because the white man needed a reason to treat the black man as a slave. That's the truth, people. That's what was happening politically at the time. Okay? It's wrapped up in slavery. Now, also, Darwin's cousin, Galton, okay, and the mapping, and looking at genetics. What did it cause? Natural selection, the idea that dog eat dog, the survival of the fittest, which was coined by, Darwin used the phrase, let's put it that way. Other people read it and coined the phrase. And actually, the person who coined that phrase from natural selection it was about business, dog eat dog business. Okay, everything in life was survival of the fittest. And now we take a look at capitalism. It's Darwinism, social Darwinism. Oh, your government isn't capitalist? Well, they're the ones who are putting you under their thumb. So yeah, your government absolutely is dog eat dog. Your socialist communist government is. And by the way, your communist government comes from Darwinism. Okay? So if you trace back the politics of this whole thing, you can see that this is like global warming. This was the biggest hoax that was foisted upon man in the mind of science and free thinking. And then to say, and this is where you had all these fakes, like the skull that they found with a monkey's jawbone, and they thought for 50 years that it was proof of evolution. Only found one skull, right? And they found out that it was a fake. They were faking these things because they were propagandists. They wanted this, and to say that Germany it was Protestantism that caused the Holocaust. Well, the Jews at the time were not a very well-liked people. That's true, and it should have never been. But it was Darwinism. It was Darwinism. It was the idea of making them into inferior people that Hitler used to give the Jews a license to treat them as subhuman people. See, before they may have been hated, Martin Luther didn't round them up and put them in death camps. He might have been angry at them and said them some things. But the one that did that was Hitler, with Darwinian ideas. Ideas of being superior, a superior race, because of natural selection. This is history. Natural selection is the reason why the Jews felt as if they needed to sterilize their race. And being that the Jews were already hated, it was the infirmed at first. It was anybody who was not beautiful. Because the Aryan race, although you might say Hitler believed in God, he was an occultist, by the way, and he didn't really believe in Catholicism, though he was Catholic. He had the Catholic Church over a barrel. And the people were not really under God. They were not really Christian. And if it was bigoted Christianity, it was wrong. But the fact is that the people were under National Socialism, Nazism, which was rooted in Aryanism, which was rooted in natural selection, which is rooted in Darwin. Now I'm giving you the absolute perfect facts here, that Darwinism was a major driving force, and the Nazi doctors were basically Darwinists that didn't believe in God, they believed in evolution. And by the way, this is what happened with Stalin, with Lenin, with Marx. They were all followers of Darwin's theories. They loved Darwin. And in communism, they were absolutely anti-religious atheists at the time. And Stalin was far worse than Hitler was, by the way. So In the name of atheism, we had the rise, the killings of all the people in Cambodia. Yes, you need to own this. Because the propagandists, the atheists, and I don't hate you, but when you say that, oh, well, it was Christianity that killed the Nazis, and try to take your hands off of Darwinism, and say that, well, we're atheists, but we don't believe in Darwin, but we believe in evolution, isn't that just you trying to avoid the issue? If we're going to be true, okay, it wasn't really Christianity, because real Christianity wouldn't persecute the Jews. It wasn't a Christian thing for Martin Luther to say, although I believe he was a Christian. But the idea of Christians exalting themselves over their fellow man just shows that they don't really know Christ. And the Jews the same way. This is why they got into the predicament they got into, because they exalted themselves. And I can tell you this, that the atheist, the Jew, the Protestant, and every other religion that doesn't really understand grace through Christ and the love of the fellow man is not really Christian. So to try to throw or smear Christianity, or smear true Christians, by saying that they're bigoted, it's true that religion is bigoted, but a true Christian who knows Christ is not. And see, that's how the name of God got smeared. This is why it says, do not take the name of the Lord in vain, because in the name of religion you've smeared God and made him look like an enemy. And God has destroyed nations, yada yada yada. Okay, I'm going to address that. If anybody has a right to judge man, it's God. And if man really thinks that they're so wonderful and good, then why did they perpetrate things like the Holocaust? I don't care if it was atheist or religious or whatever it is. It shows wickedness. And no man has the right to play God but God. He says, I am the Lord, I am the Lord, and I will judge. Vengeance is mine, says the Lord. Why? Because he's the creator. When man takes vengeance in his own hands, that's what he is. He's worthy of being judged by God. And this is what the arrogance of atheism has caused in Stalinist, Leninist, communist regimes. You need to own that, along with all the religious wars out there. The Muslims that fly buildings into planes, the persecution of Christians at the hands of other Christian faith that don't believe in them. All of this has to do with man exalting himself and taking matters in his own hands, but none of it has to do with Jesus Christ. Take care. God bless.